What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is the Dingo Talk Alumni Tour. My guest this week is Dave Weibe, class of 2004. Dave's going to tell us everything from his time at Bethany, athletics, academics, Greek life. Take a break. We'll come back and he'll talk about everything from passing comps to now living in Luxembourg. So without further ado, class of 2004's Dave Weibe.
You wanna know by now. You wanna know by now. You wanna know by now. You wanna know. You wanna know.
What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is the Dingo Talk Alumni Tour. My guest this week is Dave Weibe, class of 2004, all the way from Luxembourg. Dave, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Thanks for sorry for making last night. Glad we could connect again tonight. No Frankie Doo Tall tonight, but I'll give him a buzz this week to catch up.
So we're going to do this the same way we do every week. Dave's going to tell us everything of how he ended up here in Bethany. I think there's a family relation that kind of helped him find this place. But we'll tell the whole story of athletics, academics, social life, Greek life, the whole nine. Take a break, come back. We'll talk about comps and everything he's doing now. So, Dave, how did you end up here at Bethany?
Yeah, so I come from a soccer family, right? So older brother played soccer, I played soccer, younger brother played soccer, and my older brother, he's 5 years older than me. So when he was looking for colleges, Bethany had just won the national title in 1994. So he was an incoming freshman at 95. He chose to go to Bethany, which, probably felt like a really strong decision just given the success of the soccer program. And before he enrolled, or rather started in the fall of 95, I came to JC soccer camps in the summer for 3 weeks where I worked a couple weeks and played one of the weeks. So, for me, I did that sort of the next few summers, met Dudu, all these guys from the different generations and decades. And, it's, when it came time for me to make my choice, it was pretty easy, right? I knew I kind of wanted to go there. It was familiar to me. I loved the soccer program and everybody that was associated with it. I think I applied to one more college, Washington College in Chestertown, Maryland. I really had no intent of going there, but just as a fail safe, right? Yeah, and but yeah, for me, it was always going to be Bethany.
So you get to Bethany and you came here to play soccer.
Yeah.
What was the transition for you from a high school athlete to being a Division III athlete?
Yeah, for me, it was probably a lot easier than others. Again, I grew up, that was my sport. I played it my whole life. I didn't particularly enjoy high school soccer. It just, it's kind of a different thing. You grow up and you play with other club buddies and you're tight and you're familiar. And when you play high school sports, sometimes you don't have that level of sort of connection and success with the same type of guys. So when I came to Bethany, people were serious about it, competitive. For me, it just felt like a really natural fit. So I think from the first day, I felt like I was in a good place, and it had a really positive effect on me. And that was the first year. Cosmos Mortides was part of the program as well. So JC was kind of handing the reins over slowly. Kazi came in, and Dudu was obviously in the picture day to day. So for us, it was a great setup. We had a lot of fun, ton of good players, all from around the world, and just a great experience starting out.
And then, so you came into or you graduated with a mathematics degree.
Yep.
Was that always the plan when you came to Bethany? That's what you knew you were doing, or did you dabble in a couple other things?
No, I definitely wasn't what I started with. So I wouldn't say I was a model student in high school. The effort level probably wasn't there, but I was a good kid nonetheless. So when I came to Bethany initially, it was computer science, right? I said, okay, like this feels like a relevant, field to study in, and I was always kind of into computers and pretty technical. And after the first semester, I had also had to take some math classes as part of that curriculum, and I kind of made a decision. I had Dr. Mary Ellen Komorowski. She was a great teacher, really made an impression on me. And after that, I said, okay, I really want to do math. So I kind of switched it up, math major, comp sci minor. But, I also felt like I had no idea what I wanted to do after college. So just wanted to find something that was, a bit fungible that I could use, whether it's, finance or law or something else, and help me out later on.
So I got to ask you, as a student that was here in 2001, what was 9/11? What was that like here in Bethany? That, because an experience where people remember it, I guess. I mean, I remember I was in fourth grade that we
Yeah,
watched
it
it on
was it was
TV.
surreal, man. I remember I remember it very vividly. I'd gotten up and we had the TV on. I was living with Jimmy Hirschner at the time, and I was like looking at this news, and I was like, "Oh my God, what is going on?" And I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The first thing you think is like, "Okay, this is theater. This is a hoax. This isn't happening." And some of the brothers in the house started to kind of wake up and see the same. And probably an hour or so later, I went to my first class, which was Spanish, and I had Dr. Lovano, and I just remember him being very emotional. He couldn't kind of believe what was going on. He definitely felt the emotion and sort of the tragedy behind it. And it took a while to sink in. We get back from classes, we're watching the news, we're looking at the replays over and over, and it was just kind of obviously very 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 sad, but difficult to sort of come to grips with. Right, we hadn't had anything kind of on the domestic front happen like that in our lifetime, at least.
So moving from that, I just wanted to touch. It's not. I haven't had very many people from that were here in that time. I wanted to see a perspective from then. Academically, you talked about you with your computer science, you found math, and that's where you ended up settling in. How about the social side? What was social life like at Bethany?
Yeah, I mean, I had a head start. So in two ways. One, I knew some people already from kind of being familiar with Bethany, and two, anytime you have a fall sport, you start early. You have preseason. You're meeting people. You kind of get your clique and your group right away. So that was definitely helpful. And again, for me, you kind of alluded to the family connection. My brother, although we didn't go to Bethany at the same time, he was an Alpha Sig. So naturally, the first party they have, or the first time kind of the house is open, I'm up there, meeting the guys there. So, it came pretty easily. And, I know it's a bit different now, but, once you enter as a student, you're a full member of Bubba's, and, you go there, and that's kind of a new sort of atmosphere, and really fun, obviously, as you're starting out your life at Bethany.
Well, so you bring up Bubba's. Is there any stories that you can remember from your time down there?
Oh, I mean, probably none so appropriate, but I mean, we were there all the time. It was closed Sundays and Mondays, and we're there for the Tuesday Red Dog pounder beers. We're getting wings Thursdays, obviously. Every night we could be there, we would be, and we had a blast. Chuck was great to us. Rest in peace, obviously, but that was a unique time. Like people were having a good time Friday, Saturday nights.
So you brought up Greek life, and you hinted towards that your first parties and whatnot. You were up at Alpha Sig. That was that the foregone conclusion? Did you look at other houses, or was it kind of those were the guys that you fit with, and that was where you were going?
Yeah, I mean, those were the guys. I knew some of the guys that were there already, and some of them felt like family. Like a guy like Stuart Brasher, he felt like family. So, Stan Wolf had a good connection with my brother. So right away, these guys, treated me pretty well. So yeah, it was a foregone conclusion for sure. But as you know, when you go through pledging, you always have your doubts, like, oh my God, they're not going to take me. They're gonna blackball me. So it's all fun though.
Well, and it kind of you're successful. You were successful inside the fraternity. You ended up becoming a president.
Yeah.
And so, what was Greek life like at that time? Was it high numbers, low numbers?
Yeah, I mean, it was high. We had a full house. I remember Zeta next door had like 70 members, right? So, more than half of their sorority wasn't even in the house. And we had Beta going, obviously Sigma Nu, it was kind of a packed place. So that was the thing to do. I don't know the number, but I think close to half of Bethany, or a third maybe, was Greek, and made a big difference, obviously. But there's always something going on. We'd have the houses in proximity, or you're going to, Sigma Nu after the bar or whatever it is. It's, that was kind of the thing to do. Whether you're Greek or not, that's kind of where the action was.
And then, so on the athletic side, you started to talk about how it was a change in the program because it went from JC was giving up the reins to Cause. What was soccer like for you for that time period?
Yeah, it was amazing, man. Like, the first couple of years we had literally obviously the first team, and then I think we had so many good players we could have fielded a second team that probably could have won the pack. And those were the days where winning the pack was a foregone conclusion. I think we were 36 years in a row or something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all about some of the marquee teams we were playing, the Messiahs, the Kenyans, Owu, all these teams. That was very fun, to see them year after year. So yeah, I mean, very, very competitive. People had fun, but they took it, really seriously when we were trying to win matches. And, that's probably, looking back, the fondest time I had at the school.
And the fan base, I'm guessing you packed the bowl.
I mean, yeah, I guess as much as you can. And you know how it is. You got the bleachers. Nobody sits on the bleachers. It's all about the hill, the front and the back of the hill. So people would come out. Great time. Again, we were killing teams for the most part. So that helped as well.
Well, I think that's a good place. We'll take a pause here. We want to send it to KJ Kieran Dunn from Maple Shades Outdoors. Follow them on Instagram, maple_shade.outdoors. Or after watching this video, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and then pop over to his channel, Maple Shade Outdoors. Everything you need to know: outdoor, game, hunting, fishing. They do a lot of good stuff over there. So make sure you check them out. But this is Dave Weibe, class of 2004. I am Carlo Guadagnino, and this is the Dingo Talk Alumni Tour. KJ, go ahead and take it away.
What's going on, everybody? This is Kieran Dunn, founder of Maple Shade Outdoors. You're currently watching Dingo Talk with my man Carlo. If you're anything like me and you're really enjoying this content, you should like and subscribe his page. While you're on YouTube, you should probably just head over and like and subscribe Maple Shade Outdoors. Check out our page, enjoy some videos, some outdoor content. You might as well hop on Instagram, Facebook, follow us, Maple Shade Outdoors. Now that's enough about me. I'm trying to get back and watch the rest of Dingo Talk, so I'll talk to y'all later.
What's going on, Chuckleheads? I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is the Dingo Talk Alumni Tour. My guest this week is Dave Weibe, class of 2004. We left off, Dave was finishing up the overview of his time at Bethany. Lastly, before we get into comps, 2001 lacrosse here at Bethany.
Yeah. So Bethany has a legitimate NCAA lacrosse team these days, but before that took shape, we had a club lacrosse team. And I use the word lacrosse and team very loosely because probably only a handful of the guys on the team actually knew how to play. So luckily we had some Marylanders, myself, Hirschner, Eric Hannum, etc. Brad Porterfield, Carolina guy. So, that helped obviously, but, we would go and play these teams, whether it's, WVU's club team or Kent State or whoever else, and just get absolutely destroyed. But, it's not like we were taking it seriously. We'd play at the practice field. There's fans, kegs all over the place, no proper hydration, no organization to it. But in 01, I'd like to say this was the most important moment in Bethany lacrosse history. Even these days, we hosted Youngstown State down at the practice fields.
I've heard about this. I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's it was. We probably celebrated for like 2 months, but they came. They weren't good, by the way. It was also a club team, but nonetheless, it was an opponent that we were trying to beat, and we got them into overtime. And I vividly remember Jimmy picking up a ground ball from about midfield, left-hander, just blazing through the Youngstown State's half and firing one to the top corner there overtime, goal, sudden death. We're all rushing him. We don't even know what to do because we never won a lacrosse game before. But it was unbelievable. The other team's like, geez, guys, like really, really taking it far here. But say, hey, it's our first win, man. Like this is the best moment of our life. After that, I think we might have won one other game. It was probably, Youngstown State again, to be honest, at their place. But
You went up there and beat them up.
yeah, we had their number big time. We were in their head after that, and no, that was awesome. I mean, we were terrible. I remember Ryan Bradley was in goal. He was our soccer goalie, so naturally we just parked him there because we hoped he had some level of skill that would transition over. And it was a great time, man. It was drinking beers, fighting the other team, trying to score some goals. But I'm sure if we played the team today, we would get absolutely murdered. But this was a fun time for us.
So you roll from there to 2004. You go into the week of comps. Now, were you a January or a May comper?
Yeah, I did January. So I'd gone home to Maryland for a little bit for Christmas break. And I just remember like locking myself in my bedroom there, studying like crazy. And I'm sure it's the same now, but you could have kind of one piece of paper where you could have all your notes on it. So my goal was to make that paper as effective as possible. I had like 6 or 7 classes worth of stuff on there. I really took it seriously because, I mentioned in high school, I wasn't the model student, but at Bethany, I was doing pretty well, had a pretty good GPA and wanted to, really, really kind of end in a high note here. Mm-hmm. So I came back for J-term, took my comps, obviously 2 days of written exams. I thought this went pretty well. And I got the call before the oral examination that I was kind of right on the cusp there of having a distinction. So I was obviously amped up to go in there and like try to answer everything I could appropriately. And I remember I went in and I had gotten one of the written questions wrong. I can't remember what class it was. It could have been linear algebra or something like that. And literally spent the whole next, 45, 50 minutes just on that problem. I remember filling up like an entire board, Dr. Santmeyer asking me a bunch of questions, David Rudari, who was a music teacher there, kind of just sitting back and watching what's going on. And, thankfully got to the right conclusion. And they said, congratulations, you obviously passed, but you passed with distinction. So, that was a real proud moment for me. Cause again, not the model student, but, feeling pretty good at that point. So, the next best part is when you walk out of the building there. So I took mine in Richardson, walked out the front door. I pre-planned this. So I had this guy named Joe McGasey, and he had rolled up in his SUV, and I had him playing as loud as possible, Panama by Van Halen the moment I walked out the door. So you know how it goes from there. People are handing you bottles or whatever and 40s and this and that. And, it's just a huge celebration, a huge relief, and I was, I was lucky because I was one of the first people in J-term to finish comps. So at that point I could just kind of like relax, have some fun and kind of de-stress a bit. But yeah, that was a great time. I mean, I think it's an awesome thing Bethany does. I'm glad they still do it. Not many other schools do. So when I talk about it, it's kind of like instant credibility, from an academic perspective. So very, very cool.
So from January to May, when was BBH going to be the move? Because you started BBH in 2004.
Yeah. Definitely not between January and May. So, I finished out the semester. I went back to Maryland, which is where I'm from, and I kind of resumed my old job, right, which was like my summer job. So I worked at a athletic complex. I drove the tractors and, maintained all the baseball fields and all that type of stuff. And at that point in time, my older brother had met a woman from New England, and they had gotten serious. They got engaged, and her brother actually worked at the firm. So funny enough, he was over in Luxembourg at the time. So he kind of blind referred me, right? I don't know if the poor guy had a choice because, it's family now. So yeah, I went up for an interview, didn't hear back for a while. So I was like, God, I didn't get that one. And, out of the blue one day, said, yeah, congratulations, you got a job. It's entry level, it's like, great, a job. Like, I didn't care what it was. So, pretty shortly after I drove up, moved to Boston area, didn't know a soul, started working, and, I've been there ever since. Obviously had a couple interludes in between. I did a year in Colorado for work, and now I'm in Europe, obviously, but still have our house back in Boston area. So it's a great place. And, it's funny. I'll never forget. I was so naive. I started my first day there, and it's, it's financial services. So that could mean many, many, many different things. But
Yes.
in my head, I was like, all right, I'm a math major. I'm going to be a trader or a portfolio manager or do something and make some big bucks. And I never forget the guy that's going to train me. He's like, are you ready? I'm like, oh, I'm ready, buddy. And he puts these massive headphones on, because that's kind of what it was at the time. And it just starts plowing through screens on this computer, like data entry, right? Like nothing too complicated here. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, oh no, like, what have I done? Is this a mistake? But it's all good. It turned out to be kind of a great decision. I've been there ever since, and obviously worked out for me.
Yeah, you're now the senior vice president?
Yeah. So it's, officer titles there. There's a lot of senior vice presidents, but yeah, I have a big team, here in Luxembourg and kind of globally, and it's really cool. Like, you get to interact with clients and their customers all around the world every single day, every single time zone. You learn things culturally that you never would have picked up before. You learn obviously a lot about finance and the different products that people sort of subscribe into, and there's a lot going on in the space, and it's always evolving. So it's been pretty exciting.
And while doing all that, you weren't managed to get your master's. So how did that come about? Why was that the decision that you went with?
Yeah, I had no real reason to get it other than I just wanted to get it, because I didn't sort of have this notion that it would get me a raise or more money or better career opportunities or anything. So that one took me a couple opportunities. So the first time I went to get my master's was 2005, and I enrolled at Northeastern University in Boston, part-time. So it was like night classes, and that was a master's in mathematics. And about 7 or 8 weeks into it, it was very clear. Like, I was the only poor soul that was like working a full-time job and trying to do that. And, it just didn't feel like the right fit for me. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I can't work. Like, this is a very intense program. I can't kind of go through the motions. So I made the decision after that semester to kind of hit the pause button. Later on, I looked at some other opportunities, and, again, I wasn't really like trying to get the in-class campus experience. So at the same point in time, Creighton University in Nebraska, pretty well-known university out there, good basketball team. They started a program online, and it was, effectively the same program that, a chartered financial accountant would follow, when they get their CFA. And that's kind of what I went through for 3 years. So portfolio management, security analysis, a lot of, financial statement stuff, et cetera. Never stepped foot on the campus, but, earned my master's through that. So, it was a good feeling, but again, it wasn't for personal gain or anything as much as like, I wanted that challenge.
So we've come to the last two questions. The first one is, if you were pitching to a prospective student and they were on the fence, Division I, Division II, Division III, why Division III?
Well, I mean, I think Division III is kind of a hidden gem here, right? You have so many schools, you have a lot of talent. You're clear in your own mind that you're going to college to get a degree and to play sports, versus saying, I'm a top tier athlete. I gotta take sports, seriously and make that my top priority. It's just right off the bat, you have sort of that balance in your head in terms of what's important. And I think you can have fun with it too. I mean, some of my best memories are like, we'd have grueling, practices and games and whatnot, but we'd still all head over to the rec center and play pickup and just like have the greatest time. And
Yeah.
it's a little bit less pressure, but it's still you can find a pretty high level of competition and feel pretty satisfied.
And then along with Division three, same thing. You're talking to a prospective student. Why Bethany?
Yeah. Well, if I was talking to a student, in '04, I mean, even now, like times change. So I don't know what the vibe is there now, but here's what I'll say first. Bethany's not for everybody. If you want to go to, an SEC football game with 70,000 people on the regular, you're not going to Bethany.
No.
If you're looking for a big city or a gas station within at least 5 minutes, you're not going to Bethany. But if you want to have a place where it's personal, you can thrive, you can make real connections, literally with every single person you walk by on the way to class, and not only that, but have those friendships for the rest of your life. I mean, there's still a group of us, literally from I think like 6 or 7 different class years that we go to Deep Creek every year. I think we've done it for like 15 straight years. It's just, you have an instant connection with Bethany people because it's such a small place, and it's a special place. And if you go into it like that, and that's kind of sounds appealing to you, then it's probably the right choice.
Well, Dave, I want to say thank you for taking time. I don't know it's late there in Luxembourg.
Not too bad.
But thank you very much for being a part of the show. We're going to take this time to send it to Harry Chambers, because if Chambers doesn't have it, you don't need it. Harry Chambers is going to tell us everything about his store. I am Carlo Guadagnino. This is Dave Weibe, class of 2004. This has been the Dingo Talk Alumni Tour. And Harry Chambers, go ahead and take it away.
You've just watched another exciting episode of Dingo Talk, recorded in the secret lair deep in the hills of Bethany, West Virginia. Let me give a shout out to my man Don over at Maple Shade Outdoor. He's got some great stuff going on over there on YouTube and Instagram. Please make sure you check him out. Also, now available as promised, we have the second edition Bethany, West Virginia Mushroom Capital of the World t-shirts and our Chambers General Store. If we don't have it, you don't need it t-shirts. And available in all sizes. So make sure you stop by the store for a t-shirt, breakfast sandwich, or sausage biscuits and gravy, and make sure to check out those daily lunch specials. Now back to you, Dingo.